Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thad here from the Vorpal crew. I am here with my new good friend, Steven, aka DM Smudge. We just
Hello.
wrapped up episode 4 of Dungeon Destruction. We are almost at the end of this epic adventure. I'm so sad about that, but Steven, man.
Dude, this was fun. This has been
Uh,
so seriously, like this has been like remarkable because nobody's doing this. Nobody does this. And not to like make digs on like other people and the way that they do D&D and like do video, but just like a concise like quick hour and just like the complexities and the fun and the vibrant speed. I just love it.
well, and it's been fantastic to get 5 dungeon masters together, and then I was trying to figure out a way that it would work where everybody had a chance to be a dungeon master for a little bit and throw their own spin on stuff, but then have them be players too, which I know you guys don't always get to be
Oh,
players. And the fact that it's only an hour, I mean, we're done in an hour and a half for a game where instead of having it be 4 hours, it's a lot harder to slot in life. And
for sure.
I mean, I like the 1 hour timer thing, but what I've really liked about your game tonight and Rachel's as well was it not only had the timer but had another stress meter in the game, and for yours it was the ship health.
Yeah.
I mean, that was our meter tonight. Yes, we kind of ran toward the end on time, but like, oh man,
Yeah, and total shout out to Rachel. Like that was I was inspired by her, so like she gets so much of that credit. And like, but I just wanted, yeah, I just wanted there to be this other element where you're going, okay, because I'm such a foreshadower in story. Like I just am like, okay, what's gonna happen next? How is this gonna look? You know, like stories, video games, or whatever.
mm-hmm.
And in this, I was like, I hope people can start to go, okay, I've got this thing. I need to do the max amount of damage against this said creature, but also prevent anything that's gonna happen to our ship. Like, what's gonna? I don't know. I just like that. I don't know. It's just that's how my mind works.
Did you find it easier to DM in this format or play? Which is your
I'm
preferred?
gonna be honest. This was hard for me. This was really hard. I suck at math.
Yeah, well,
Like,
the math got you, but I think I don't know if we'll include this in the video, but you mentioned toward the end, right? You didn't get to be your articulate storytelling self as much because of that clock.
yeah, I'm such a thespian, improvising, like crazy person that like I just loved. Like there was a few moments where I asked, "Hey, like, okay, so you do this. What does that look like?" Because I just that for me feels more engaging and more in the moment. But yeah, then it takes 35 seconds off the clock.
Yeah,
You know,
it,
so
there is something to be said about that being a negative of this for sure. You know, not that I don't think we need to go full on RP within player characters in development like that, but just the articulation of battle and some of the nuances. Like I feel like if we could figure out a way to somehow stop the clock for such things so that we can do our thing.
yeah, I would say it's like it's always a pendulum swing. Like there's always like people are going to take it one stage and they'll go, you know what, let's do the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I think what this offers is just like, all right, we are in the mindset of yeah, I'm going to be as fast as I can. I know what I'm going to do. I'll add just a little flavor.
Yeah.
Just give me an adjective here and there that just gives me more yeah flavor. But then even to your point, when we were chatting before, like this some of this doesn't even make sense what we're doing. Like
Doesn't.
hidden just like I have no action where it says rip up ship and throw off ship. Like there's nothing. I'm just like I want people to see that this thing opens up and I wanted to throw you off the ship. I wanted to see what would happen.
Well, it gave me a great chance to grab onto your beard. So yeah.
Yeah, but that was sick. You like I wanted to see what my reaction was. I probably did something stupid, but I was
you
like,
did, but it's beautiful. You did. You're like, a
oh,
Steven face.
it was Misty Step reactions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and Dan wrote him the whole time, just kept clanking him in the head. That was funny for sure. Um, yeah. There's no lack of funny moments in these games.
No, there's no lack
sure.
of absolutely. And again, to your point, I don't think we need to swing any pendulum to like try to make this anything more than just at least everybody is on the same page. We're gonna be silly. We're gonna be fun. We're gonna do it as fast as we can, and we'll see what happens.
Now, this is an absolutely beautiful build, and you did some things differently from the other games. And not that there's anything wrong with any of them, but I like to talk about some of the key differences every time we do this. Now, first and foremost, you, just like Rachel last week, you crafted pretty much everything on the table aside from the minis, which is ridiculous. And we got to talk about your ship, but the overall setting on this thing. One of the things I like that you did is you put this in a background. This is like built to be able to play in a remote setting. It is on your table to your left.
Yep.
You got a black background right behind it just to wash out everything other than what matters.
Yep.
And he did some cool lighting techniques. So let's kind of start with the overall aesthetic, and then we'll rip your build apart.
Yeah, literally, maybe we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I started off playing D&D with terrain like this because it just was so expensive. I'm now getting into the door board, all the big stuff. But I mean, I just am a crafty person and want to put something together for my players to enjoy. And so yeah, the ship took me about 2.5 months this year to build during like deep COVID. I did, yeah, it was a lot. But I wanted it to be special because I started off on a campaign after with a ship thing, a pirating experience, and I wanted it to be full on customizable and experiential. And so I did that. And then of course, what else are you gonna build? Yeah, I have to build like these like bizarre rocks to like go with the ship in case something happened, and of course I've made some, in the deep background, some like walls, because I don't know, like what if you're in a port city? You see like my mind just goes down like, okay, well then how do I add some more? And then I've got this little, I just threw this up here, it's like a little
it was perfect, the dinghy up on the rocks.
So yeah, it's a lot that takes in a lot of time, a lot of patience, but I think overall it's like my proudest thing I built. So
looks like to me, just taking a guess here, the stones, those are crafted out of foam, right? You're just ripping chunks off.
Yep.
And definitely the castle wall on the back. Now the ship though is some of that balsa, and there's definitely some craft store stuff.
I'm proud of you.
I've done a little bit. Dan and I have a pretty ridiculous thing that we're gonna unveil someday at a con, but
cool. So this is filled with a variety of things, mainly dollar store foam core.
Okay.
Like the very thin.
So
like,
rip the paper off stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I've actually found that working with that is sometimes better than the other types of like pink foam. Because it's quicker and simpler, and I knew that I needed to have a lot of texture and a lot of quick cuts that I was not going to do with all that pink foam. So like majority of it is that foam, plus balsa wood, magnets, other like popsicle sticks, plus anything I could find that's going to provide
beads
me
from the craft store for the railing.
Yeah, you literally, it's like it's just like beads that I painted black. That.
They look great and they're perfect.
Thanks. Yeah, and then I added like these magnetic harpoon guns that like I just had a friend 3D print, and then I painted and just put it on here. But it's just it. So now they can like turn, and so it just adds. It just those little details for me add and like the magnetic. So in our story, these come off. All these nets they can go on all 6, but I thought it just might be fun to just have 2. For this, so that you could clearly see everything.
Yeah.
And then all these levels come off, but that's again, I wanted people to at some point in the future, and when I'm playing, to be able to go through these doors and be able to go inside and play the thing.
So yeah, let's you ripped it apart once during the game. It's got that first level comes off.
Yeah, and it's hard because you don't want to. It's strong enough. See, it's strong enough magnets that like you have to be very careful not to rip off. But like, just see, like it's playable areas.
Now you're in the captain's quarters. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, and it just goes for all of the other spots,
And you can throw some scatter in there, like a desk or what have you, and
that's the point.
It's ready to go.
And I've done that, and it's so fun when you rip that up and the players look at you and go, "What? There's something in there?"
Yeah. And it takes, that's the stuff that takes forever, right? When you make the interior something playable, there's some very, very nice ships out there. I mean, Wizkids has a really nice one, and
Oh yeah.
God, I'm drawing a blank on some others, but the tabletop things, he makes a couple of different ones that are more similar in feel to this, but like having it be a full ship and playable inside, just to make something like this from a commercial standpoint and sell it, this ship would cost $600 to have the functionality that your ship does.
Yeah. Plus I have other levels that go down. So you've got the next deck under, which is like main quarters, plus where you can see like these squares. I've got ballista cannons that can be used and like shoot cannons from, and then below is you've got like the holding cells.
You could do 12 hours of D&D on this ship without an issue and have it be a really fun experience.
That was like the whole idea, and again, I didn't want to keep. There's something special for a player. Now we're kind of getting off topic a bit, but like there's something about a player that they know, okay, we left off at this point in this session on this specific area of this location, and I'm going to pick up back at that exact point, but I can see it. Like that's just something, I don't know what that does to your mind. It's just interesting.
Well, and I know I talk about this a lot, but experiencing a game of Dungeons and Dragons like this, whether at a table or playing remotely on a system, like the terrain just adds so much to it. You can't have the same experience as this ship with all the stuff going on a digital map or a hand-drawn map. You just can't. It's not the same. There's a three-dimensionality to this that is part of the experience and part of the like, oh my gosh, that's awesome factor.
That's interesting you said too. It's like, again, this is preference, this is subjective, this is not
this is an interview about our opinions.
But it's like I would much rather go back to the pendulum swing. I actually would rather to only play with big physical things, or like only theater of the mind. It's like I don't know what it does, like to play on like these two-dimensional things. I like my mind can't wrap around distance properly, and like which to me loses story, because if I have to keep articulating how far or how close or whatever things are, and so like even tonight, like I think I changed the way I was doing because Rachel wanted to move like 30 feet and I did the exact right, and then I'm like, you know what, screw that, like everyone just can move where they want to go, because it's going to take away from the moment and the story.
Well, and that's what happens a lot in in Theater of the Mind games. The dungeon master basically just lets stuff flow, and I've played some really good Theater of the Mind games for sure, in fairly like I did a train one with
that's cool.
a while back, and it was still a good experience, but like if he had gotten to see the train and he'd gotten to move around on the train and interacted with the train and hid behind the mast of the ship, or go run over to where the giant is, and then he moves over, and like just the scale of when the giant came on the ship and my mini's like super small next to this guy.
You were his boots.
It was ridiculous. I was the size of the bottom of his soul.
Yeah, but I mean, like there's nothing better than actually having physical minis too. Like this thing, it's huge, and it's like beautiful. It's so beautiful. And so I think you can get away with building your own terrain in a really cool way, and then just 3D printing, buying minis, painting them up, I think that works.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of some minis, you've got that awesome Wizkids Storm Giant you borrowed from Joe.
Dude, yeah, I'll pull up really just somewhat close if you can kind of see him, but and like look at the lighting too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of in the concept that I felt made sense for like the game and the story. I kind of wanted it to just be one thing that you're focusing on, but little subsidiaries that how do I put this? I just think that not having to move stuff so much can be so impactful, but the only things you're moving are just the minis. But like there's so much to do. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's one of the tricks. I think you haven't been playing on Vorpal as long as Dan and Art. I mean, Art's done 30 games at this point on Vorpal, right? And we've done everything together from really small builds, and I remember the first build he did was like him and his wife spent an entire day building a full table out, right? And how much of that did we see? We saw what you can see here of that entire like town. And so it's actually from a remote play standpoint and from your own sanity as a dungeon master standpoint to set up like chunks of stuff. And then so that when you're running the game, you're moving minis around. Maybe you're breaking apart part of the terrain like you did tonight, or pulling the roof off of a tavern, or you're interacting with that one set of terrain rather than trying to figure out how to move through a build. And Art and Dan's builds, we did that, right? We moved the camera, or you can reposition terrain and fly different sections in. We've tried all those tricks, but there's something nice and tight to be said about leave the camera, leave the phone with the app on it, and just play the game, which is closer to an at the table experience. Totally. It's simpler, it's easier, and there was nothing unimmersive about this. I mean, I mean,
that's how I feel. Again, you don't know how everyone's thinking in the moment, but like, yeah, and that's why you, as a DM, just be strategic. Like, yeah, I was like, okay, everyone was going towards him, and then, that could get boring. Okay, let's move him out. Who cares? Take a reaction. I'm not gonna do crap against him. Who cares?
We did a lot of damage on those.
Okay, yeah, either way, like, I'm okay with sacrificing a potential whatever to get them moving to somewhere else so that it can feel like a fresh experience.
Well, and it was an awesome moment that he got to just destroy the ship.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fantastic.
It was a good moment for sure. But but you guys, you came out successful. You never know, and that's what I love about D&D. You roll, you never know what's just gonna happen.
So would you do anything differently now that you've run it once?
This specific thing, I kind of would actually not focus on keeping track of the hit points. I know that that's counterintuitive to like D&D a bit, but I actually would like. I know that that's like sinful of sorts, but like, again, I'm not a math person, cruncher or whatever. So me to have to like remember everything and write it all down, like my piece of paper here is like just scribbles of numbers and adding and minusing and rejuvenation and all these things. It's like I kind of wanted to just like, I don't know. I kind of would do that. Another thing I would probably do would be to give him more actions. Maybe give him like a legendary action or something.
He already had a lair action that was doing 50 lightning damage every turn.
Yeah, I just think it'd been a little bit more like we don't know what he's going to do every other turn or something.
Okay, so some flavor on the storm giant.
Yeah, I think that could be fun. Because I was going to make the tentacles displaced throughout, and then I'm like, I'll just combine them all, let them do their thing because of time. But maybe to give him
like a thunder wave or a gust, something that blows stuff away that's still storm giant themed. Yeah, some magic to him.
Yeah, something. Yeah, exactly.
Wacky
like,
with the sword.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe something like that. I wouldn't change the location. I wouldn't change the amount of hit points for the ship. I wouldn't change. I mean, other than that, I felt like it was a fairly like simple, rock solid like concept. But yeah.
Well, and I love that you were all the dungeon masters so far in this have been cordial enough to roll their dice digitally so that we can all see and experience that. Yeah. But I mean, the reality is every dungeon master I've ever played with, they roll behind the screen, and even when we're playing remotely, so there's always that factor of, yeah, okay, maybe you had him at 450 hit points, but you just keep it going to create that dramatic moment.
Oh yeah,
and let it roll. But it was awesome watching you fail, especially on the hits from the tentacles against the ship.
Because then you think about just physics. It's like they should just be able to hit to some degree. Yeah. But I'm like, you know what? Just leave it.
Well, maybe they hit a structured part of the ship and they they didn't whack a soft spot, so they didn't do damage or something. I mean, they are meat.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I love the like lightning storm aspect. I think that just played into it in a fun way, and yeah. Other than that, I think it's just his like actions or some other additional things.
Yeah, some flavor on him would be fun for sure.
Yeah.
Something to, especially if you did this at characters that weren't at level 10, just like some way to knock them in the water, take somebody out of the fight, have them have to get back up, other than just swarm and beat, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that was my mindset of trying to get the tentacles to be able to like constrict and like hold people, but like
You just rolled like crap. Yeah.
just, like they sucked. It's
Yeah,
just
they
like
did. Well, in this fight would have gone a lot differently if you had grappled. I mean, you grappled a magic user. It didn't make a difference for Rachel, but if you had managed to grapple Joe or Dan or
Right.
Art especially with that huge hit at the end. But I mean, Joe and Art, if you had grappled them, this game would have gone a lot differently.
Totally. Or yeah, just the amount of damage that was done onto the ship from the tentacles too. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. You didn't get much help from your tentacle.
let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question really quick, and be totally honest. Like, what would you change if you were DMing this? You were given this. What would you want to change?
I would do something that would slow the characters down from being able to.
Oh, that's cool.
So maybe make that section out there difficult terrain. So you already had him doing the like, I don't know exactly what he was doing, but the earthquake effect.
Yeah.
Which was neat, right? I like that one, but then to like knock them all prone no matter what, like an automatic fail, or if they fail, they all get knocked down. But then make it like really difficult terrain, so you slow down the ability for like literally the very next turn, everyone was right back on it.
No,
so he took the reaction, and then they were right back on him again. So and then yeah, some way to do crowd control, I think would be fun. But I mean, honestly, that would only be for the instances where you're playing with players. I mean, that's the other thing too. You're playing against 5 other dungeon masters that know this game inside and out. Well, 4 and me. And
stop it! Don't do that.
Well, dude, I haven't been playing for very long, but like it is almost isn't fair to gauge the challenge rating of this build against this group. I'd almost rather do it against like another group of players that aren't built so well. Like our characters are built by people who know how to build characters. Like, you know, you have multi-class combos in here that are utterly ridiculous, doing obnoxious amounts of damage with items that normally characters won't have because you're very generous. So it's
but to be totally honest, like I said, my goal was not to like kill them. My goal was to try to get them to focus on something else, which, like, again, to your point though, of like adding some of that crowd control stuff, that's a brilliant idea. I wrote that down. If I play this again, I'm totally using that idea. So
well, and use it when it makes sense, right? You want it to be fun, and maybe there are moments where you need to create a little more stress for the players, so you somehow get them, like maybe if you roll bad on the tentacles again, you need some way to stop them from beating the crap out of the storm giant.
Totally.
I would have probably had the tentacles just pop too. I know we weren't at the end of time, but like normally, right? He's the guy, you beat him. His buddies are looking down on him. The tentacles are created by him.
Yeah, like, I could have just pulled it. It's like all of a sudden, and then you see a
yeah, I know.
No, I totally. That's good. Yeah, at that point I was like, just we'll see what happens. That's a good point.
In the game prep, I was a little concerned because I've seen that many in some of your other videos, and I'm like, he's not gonna pull that out, is he?
Nah, I wanted something different. Like I've never seen anybody just like a ship get next to like a storm. I've never seen that, so I tried something different.
No, I've seen it against the cloud giant, but I haven't. But even then, that was a flying ship. And then it's hard because like everybody has to fly or you can't do anything, kind of deal. So it was also refreshing too that it was on land essentially, so we could get on and off the ship.
Yeah.
So that was nice, especially when you have melee people, because that's the thing that I really hate about some of the nautical battles. It's like, okay, all your melee people go grab the ballistas and shoot with those, and that's not your character anymore. You're just shooting the DC of a weapon.
Yeah, and Dan's not gonna just throw an axe. Like that's not fun at all.
No.
Like again, because I think of being a good DM, especially for this. So if anybody's ever going to like replicate this or do this for their friends or stuff, like you genuinely need to look at their character sheets. You genuinely, in my opinion, you genuinely need to look, because that's what I did. I actually went into all of your guys' like stuff and made sure that I could try to at least make sense of, for you to be able to like do the crazy shenanigans you want to do, and it makes sense still. And without it breaking any sort of way. So like in my opinion, if at like level 10 and up, maybe just like take a look at your players and what they're doing and what they have, and not just not to restrict them, but to like let them do their crazy stuff, but then you're prepared to let them do that. You know what I mean?
Well, and
I'm long-winded. So.
No, and that's a very hard thing for a dungeon master to talk about, and well, get the right balance of, and a lot of times that takes experience. Now, you and I were talking before the interview. You haven't been playing for very long, let alone DMing, and DMing is, I mean, you jumped right into dungeon mastering.
I 100% did. I played when I was in high school this thing called Palladium, which I don't even know what that is, and it was just me and my buddy. And to this day, him and I, whenever I see him, we'll literally just sit and play D&D. And there's not like D&D, there's no sheet. We just make it up, and it's all in our heads, and we just laugh. So we did that, but then like 4 years ago now, I think, someone just said, "Do you want to play?" And I said, "Yeah, let me DM," and I've just done it. So to anybody that's ever, you know, like I'm not ready. I had no idea about anything, and I didn't have any of this. Like I'm literally playing D&D with a book open, and I'm like, "What dice do you roll with?" I didn't even know what a polyhedral was. I didn't know that the thing came with 7. Like you know what I'm saying?
Weird shapes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how many like 6 those like Yahtzee dice do we play with?
Yeah. 1. Like maybe 3, but
yeah. No. So yeah, like 3 to 4 years now, and love it. I literally can't stop.
Dude, I gotta say, like, there's some seasoned people in this group, and you are holding strong, both as a player and as a dungeon master, which is just fantastic. I mean, Cripes, Art and Dan and Joe have been playing their whole life. I think Rachel's been playing for a decade. I've been playing for 2 years, but I've played a crap ton in the last 2 years. But like, this was phenomenal. This is well thought out, and
that really means a lot. Thank you. I try.
And I love your energy. I mean, we've talked about that a few times.
Not everybody does. I played, so I'll do some professional games, and I did this one game, and a person messaged me saying to like, I need to cool down and to cool off, and I'm like, I understand what you're saying. You are paying for this, so I will do a better way of kind of looking into that. Blah 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 blah. Thank you for playing. But like inside, I'm like, I don't know. I just am a golden retriever. I am just a person that wants to be as charismatic and fun, so that everybody else can be as lunatic minds, but whatever. They just can be crazy, and that's fun. It's like being free. It's like you're able to just be free now, and I just like that.
Well, and by being so open, you're also helping break the ice for players that might not normally be as open and charismatic, and you just make it easy, right? I mean, there's nobody else at the table that's gonna be as ridiculous as you are, so that's a beautiful thing.
It's true.
And literally, I mean with all like with a warm heart, like that's. I'm gonna do a cut, I think, with the many faces of DM Smudge of the Dungeons and Destruction. Just
and look at me, I'm so nerdy and like silly though. Like I'm wearing a Dungeons and Dragons dad D&D like I'm just like weird. Like look at my mini, I have pastries on it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I just like pastries. I was like, oh, I like cupcakes.
You needed the yellow beanie today, though. You needed it.
I don't have. It's the closest, and it's a green.
It's good, but yeah, we wanted you to cosplay your mini.
Well, thanks for taking me as I am.
Okay. Oh, let's see. What else should we talk about? So you DM professionally, which is super cool. So people can actually play with you in a private game. How do they do that?
Yeah, so basically, kind of the route that you want to take, it's it's basically just like to who I am, because I'm a very personal person. I just want you to message me and say if you want to play, and then I then get you all set up. We strategically get the players together, we get our game, get our first meeting together, then we get all the links to everything, and then we're all good to go. We get our Discord for chats and everything. You get your link for Vorpal so we can save our room, all those different things, all the good stuff. But it's only right now through Instagram specifically, and YouTube, and Facebook. But all of the people that I've ever played with and that want to play with me, I've always just have talked to me through Instagram, and I'll just throw out some different offers of different games that I'll run, and then you can just say, yeah, I'll jump in, and we go from there.
Yeah, you totally got to offer this one as a one shot.
I appreciate that.
Are they like campaigns, mini campaigns?
Yeah, so I do two things. I do one shots and mini campaigns, and the mini campaigns are from 2 to 4 sessions. And so I do several different things. One, I'll offer up a mini campaign or a one shot, and it'll be like, hey, I've got disaster in Desenberg, or whatever. I have the next created story of that, whatever the one shot of the mini campaign is. Looking for 3 to 5 players. DM me, and I'll just keep kind of marketing that, and it goes quick, like, because people want to play, and I'm not charging like $60 per person per session. Like, it's super simple, and I want it to be affordable enough for people to just play and have fun, and it's super enjoyable for me, and so I just love it.
Do you have standardized pricing you're willing to share? Or?
Yeah, I do. So, and it's interesting because I'm actually switching to a new strategy because I'm getting a lot of couples. So a lot of couples are coming to me. So I've got my second couple starting this next Sunday, actually, and they're just, we're husband and wife and we want to play. And to certain friends, I'll do some discounts. But typically for one shots, it's $12 per person, and for mini campaigns, it's $10 per person per session. So typically I'll do like a 4-person, so it's only $40. It's like nothing, but it covers all of my just all the necessities I need if I need to get a couple different things for the campaign. Or you also then get like a little graphic art for your players. So like I'm able to then send you like an art graphic for your party, and you'll also get a little letter from me, and plus a DM Smudge coin. Oh, I dropped it. Little coin, like a little inspiration coin.
Oh, cool. Yeah, laser cut.
Yeah, so it just covers that stuff. So yeah, find me on Instagram.
Are you getting people that are new to the game, experienced, mix?
It's actually it's fucking even split. I haven't had anybody that's been like, I've only been playing for a little bit. It's either we're veterans or we are brand new. Like a friend. I'll get like people like, I've played D&D, I'm trying to get my friend to play. Would you be willing to play with us? Like, yeah, absolutely. Does your friend not know how to play? No, they're not at all. Okay, well, unfortunately, I don't typically do games that nobody knows anything. I do ask that you do know something or have somebody else teach you. And based on what we use. So like, I do use D&D Beyond. Please learn how to look at a character sheet on D&D Beyond. And I have 3 links, a couple of YouTube videos, and then how to kind of look at your character sheet, and I send that to them, so they have some things like resources to be able to learn.
Sweet. And are they homebrew or?
All homebrew. All homebrew. Yeah, it's all homebrew. That's a personal philosophy, because I don't. Again, no disrespect to anybody else, and please hear me. I feel my consciousness goes, if someone's paying to play D&D with me, I want to be as customizable to what their experience they want. And however, if I feel like they're wanting to play, and I have an adventure that's already written from somebody else, it's like I'm like using their, I don't know, I feel I
get you. I mean, there's
my words a bit, but
no, I understand exactly what you're trying to say. You feel like it feels more like they're getting what they're paying for. But at the same time, I mean, if you were to pull a module off the shelf, I don't know any dungeon master that's literally going to read the book.
Yeah.
You know, you're not, and you would never do it either, right? You could pull off a core adventure and then you're going to flavor it and take it in directions that isn't exactly the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 kind of path. So
I mean, that's a good point. It is true.
Man, so they're getting homebrew for that price point.
Yeah,
That's
all homebrew, and it's fun because what we do is, like for this group, this couple, and I've even said I'll even do it for one other person. I'll do a D&D session with one person. I know that's super weird, but I've done it before with a friend of mine, and it's phenomenal. It's hilarious. And it's so awkward, but I love it. I'll step into those waters. I don't care. But for this couple, we have our session date. It's just a one shot, and then we have to within that time frame, we have to have a sit down 15 to 30 minute conversation. So I meet them, they meet me. We make sure it's good, kosher. Talk about the character, talk about the story. Bada bing, bada boom. Then we play.
Dude, that's sweet. All right, so. Hit them up on Instagram, people, because I mean, yeah, that is very, very, very reasonable.
I truly think it is, and it's also hard for people to complain about if it's bad.
Well, and it's all remote too, right? I mean, I know some professional dungeon masters that are literally they're DMing games, but it's COVID killed it because they can't do it in person anymore. But you know, they're hauling stuff like this around in their car and they're setting up and, you know, essentially doing private parties. And there's a lot more time involved with that.
Yeah, but you can't do something like this then where like someone says, I cast fly. If I don't, for whatever reason, have my flying capabilities for my minis, I'm screwed. But if I can go, oh crap, it's in my drawer over here, which didn't work for me tonight because I couldn't find them. That's a whole different thing. But usually it's like, oh no, I can just grab my thing because it's, yes, online may or may not be as intricate or interesting as in person, whatever you believe. However, here's where we're at, and Vorpal Board absolutely provides that opportunity to do this the way that I want to play with physical things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we get pretty fancy in Dungeons of Destruction with, you know, all these graphics and all this extra stuff.
Totally.
And some fun mechanics, but really there's nothing in here. You can get rid of all the extra pretty stuff and the game doesn't change.
Absolutely.
You know, the experience. I mean, the little token thing we did today, I'll just drag this in just so people know. You know, the way we labeled the ship was these.
Yeah.
I mean,
which was great. I'm so happy that you were able to do that.
It's a circle with a number. And let's see, let me grab Dungeons of Destruction episode 4. You know, the ship we used today, these are just PNGs offline. Here's your ship.
Which is that just made the moment so much more flavorful and fun to be able to just, like you said, see the number. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want it to wreck my stress level and produce anxiety, and yeah.
And this is just the toggled counter, so that's it. It's that simple, and you just, you know, add whatever you want to it. Oops, I double clicked, but it's just the number you change. So it's super simple. But yeah, I mean those little simple tricks with just the terrain cam and a couple of webcams, and you have a very immersive experience where you're just using the real stuff. Point a camera at it and have a good time and call it good. And
absolutely, I couldn't get enough. You guys couldn't see this sometimes, but like I would secretly just like hover my thing over the storm giant just to look at him, and then I would move it away.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times during the recording, so hopefully people.
Is that weird? I don't care. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, he was cool.
I was also really happy too. We chatted just like about the light a little bit. I was happy about that.
Well, yeah, and let's highlight that. So actually, if you actually watch the game, and if you're watching this now as well, thank you very much. You'll notice that the lights are moving in this now. With the way video over internet works is we're only sending information that's changing So we're sending a super, super high res photo very, very quickly, and that's essentially what video is. But one of the ways they do compression is to delete out pixels that don't change, and that's where the algorithms and all the fancy computer programming crap happens. And you know the extent of the knowledge I have in it because we got James and Mike that do all the programming. But where Steven had this dynamic lighting, which looks super, super awesome, but the amount of people we had, and we had 3 phones connected to this game, it was causing it to essentially get locked up, or it was lagging behind, right? And Vorpal catches up, but like you weren't getting that real-time update.
Right.
So we actually had to turn the lighting off. So
yeah,
and if you could, so right now it's running like full speed, and then that's the difference right there.
yeah,
So those are the things you just got to play around with.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, we're pushing an awful lot of information through everybody's internet connections, and that was one trick. So we were able to keep it high res video instead of going to medium or low, which still would have looked really good on this, but we had to drop it down or stop the lighting to keep from having everything lag out. So
absolutely.
Turn it back on though, because I love it.
Yeah, totally. And like I had it set to, I was gonna have my Bluetooth speaker to be able to just have some rain effect and sound or whatever, but I just forgot. I was using my other speakers, and I was just gonna plug in, but then I'm like, sound is gonna come through that, and then that's not, and it just was gonna be kind of messy. So
yeah, I forgot we were gonna try to play around with sound too, but it, you know,
at the end of the day, this was like perfect though. It worked. I'm not complaining. I just didn't troubleshoot in my head something.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll have integrated sound, but
no, this is great. It's totally good. I've done Vorpal with a Bluetooth speaker, but I just didn't. I don't know why I just didn't think of it. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. So last question. The game. I mean, you got into this game right when it was, it was already past its hot point, right? I don't know if it's peaked out or not, but it got through the resurgence. A decade from now, where do you want, or where do you think the game is going to go? No, it might even be 2 different questions.
Yeah. Which one do you want to answer first?
Let's start with where you want it to go.
I want it to be so accessible for anybody to play anytime. It's just hard because you can't just do that all the time. Like I can't just like be with my buddies and my group of friends and just be like, hey, let's just play D&D right now. And I'm not talking about playing a D&D based card game. I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons in that moment. And I want to be able to see that, figure it out if possible. Like I'm figuring that out as best as I can, creating different adventures, knowing them in my head, just having dice on hand and just go. And then, like having character sheets made and already just we're done. Now we can just play. But I want to see it to some degree even more accessible to like family stuff too, because I got a daughter and my wife, and I think it'd be fun, as I'm teaching my daughter, emotional intelligence and conflict resolution and different things, freaking math. Can't add +7 to anything. Just to like learn just different things and like being able to make that fast and simple. We can play for 15 minutes to an hour. Not, so I think that's something that I would want to see, or everything, yeah, and maybe minis and terrain be cheaper.
Well, volume, right? The more the hobby gets. I mean, you can walk in and buy a board game, some of the more popular stuff, for $15. It would cost. I mean, and a person making 1,000 of those, it's going to cost them more to make every one of those than something you buy at Target that's mass produced.
That's true. That's a good point.
But is this hobby ever going to be as huge as playing a video game?
Probably not. But I just but it's just what I want. I also don't want there to be. I also don't want to learn a new edition, so I don't know what it's like to learn a new edition, like most people. But I'm like, I don't want to learn freaking new rules. That sucks.
You're gonna get a intermediate version of 5th edition. It sounds like coming out pretty soon.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
they're saying it's not going to completely change. But we'll see.
We'll see. Definitely, we'll see. I also, yeah. And the other question of what do I think is going to happen in the next 10 years or so?
Yeah, what do you think is actually going to happen?
I actually think that D&D is going to be, it's becoming a little bit more mainstreamed though. Like there's so much new stuff coming out all the time that I can't even play with.
Yeah.
It's like so much, and I feel like it's just going to keep snowballing to the point where there's going to be more. I think that there's going to be other D&D type D&D RPGs, like the different RPGs within the D&D world. And there's just going to be so many different types, I feel like. So you've got D&D 5th edition, but then there's going to be like, I don't know, something else, like a Pathfinder, but then something, I don't know. I just think there's going to be more and more and more and more. And it's like, it's going to become super, it's just so much. And it's like, I haven't even heard of what you're talking about. Cause it's like, oh, it came out last year. I didn't even hear about it because there's so much that comes out all the freaking time now. And
in the last 40 years, there's hundreds of other systems that have come out. I mean,
yeah, it's just going to keep going.
Pathfinder, Cthulhu, those are two of the other more popular systems, but there's plenty of them that are coming out all the time. As much as there is adventure modules and, you know, one-shots and full-blown campaigns, even within just D&D from WotC, there's too much to do, let alone from all the fantastic independent creators and that are out there, just in from characters to items to NPCs to monsters. It's exhausting. It's almost getting too big to make it approachable.
I've had so many people say that to me too.
So I don't know. I hope that the dungeon masters are able to kind of weed through that and make it simple to get. Like the only thing you have to know is what's on the table and what's in your character sheet.
Totally. I think altogether, what I'm trying to say is, I think D&D is going to become more and more monetized over time, and more people trying to make more money off of D&D continually in great ways, but also maybe ways that's just like, I don't know, is it needed? Maybe like any other industry.
I kind of hope that, well, people that do builds like this, right? I mean, now that you've done it, and you know, maybe spending 2 months building a full ship isn't something you can do all the time, but you know, maybe you get faster as you get more crafting, or you make some more versatile stuff. But at the end of the day too, it's I hope we never lose that part of the hobby.
It's totally I'm so with you. And the community, I love this community so much. Like, people are so kind, and they like want to see everybody succeed in the best ways possible. Like you, man, like I want to see Vorpal kick ass, and I feel supported by you to like want to like, yeah, man, you do a great job, and like keep going. I don't know, I'm with you on that.
All right, sweet. Anything else you want to cover we didn't talk about today?
Nah, man, I mean, this is a blast. I had so much fun. I think the Vorpal board is so fun. I don't know.
I'm gonna miss this so much. We're gonna figure out a way to keep doing something.
Because we just figured it out. Like, we finally figured out how to do this, right? And so like now we're like, yeah, we did it. Okay. We finally become the masters of how to do this type of thing, and then it's gonna be over.
Yeah.
But we gotta do we probably need to do this like once a year, or like once
yeah, we'll get the gang back together, as long as everybody's schedules.
That's like, so, because we're all gonna have cooler shit by then. At least I will, hopefully.
All right, so where can everybody find you, Smudge?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at DM Smudge. Namely, for Instagram at DM_Smudge. But the other ones is just DM Smudge. YouTube videos, content, paid games, funny, silly videos. Just
Exactly.
No words, just this.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Thad from the Vorpal Board crew. If you like what you saw tonight, we showed a very high-end version of how to play this. in terms of fanciness from a terrain standpoint, but the tech is super, super simple, very easy to use, and you can try it for free. So check us out at vorpalboard.com. Get a free trial there, and then it's $10 a month, and only one person needs to have a subscription. Everybody else is free. And this is a heck of a lot better than playing with a fully digital system. Please give it a shot. Trust us. It's a lot more fun this way. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, and get Guide Night back.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.